Hey everyone, how are you doing today? This is the last day of the 3-day detox challenge, and we've made it. We got through. We're at the end of the challenge, and so I just want to thank each and every one of you who have been involved until the end. Now, it could be that you stumbled across my channel and you heard about the challenge a little bit later. I know one of the women who was on the live coaching call yesterday mentioned that she received a notice about the live and then got in right away spontaneously. So I know it's not something that everyone possibly knew about from the beginning. So I appreciate it if you, even at the tail end, decided to join and be involved. We are growing as a community. I'd like to thank each and every one of you. We have now over 1,000 subscribers. I think it's 1,080 right now. So that's great. I'm excited. I'm completely thrilled that you decided to subscribe to this channel. I know that there are a lot of different distractions that we all have, particularly if we are looking for a lot of fat loss support. And so not every channel speaks to you, or not every channel might resonate with you. So I'm happy that I'm maybe one of the few that you have decided to subscribe to. And as an appreciation, I would like to, this evening, before I get into all the other stuff that I want to talk about at the end of this challenge, I want to offer to you a 76% reduction in a course that I have been listing in all of the description notes. It's the Belly Be Gone course. So if you're interested, you certainly do not have to take part in the course if you feel as though you don't need additional support. But if you do, it is available at a 76% reduction. So that's my thank you to all of you who have either watched the lives up until now, who are watching, or who will watch the replays. Up until a certain amount of time. The offer will only end until next week, Friday. So just be aware, if you want to take advantage of it, you certainly can. So aside from that, if you are joining and you don't know who I am, my name is Jennifer Lipscomb, and I help Black menopausal women with a sweet tooth lose fat on a partly or fully plant-based diet without skipping dessert. So if that's you, then you're in the right place. And right now we want to talk a little bit about the Detox Fast that we went through over the course of the 3 days. That would be Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. Of course, we had a kickoff last week where we sort of discussed the importance of the fast and the benefits of the fast, and also challenges. And today, I want to get a little bit more into the fasting guide. It was something that I created so that I would have for you a resource that you could use to support you. Just if you had some questions or you wanted to reinforce the information that we have discussed, or I may have, sort of covered in the lives, that you would have a resource that you could refer back to. But I still want to go over a little bit of the content in the guide because I think it's helpful for sort of summarizing the process that we went through. Okay, so I gave an introduction about why I think it's important for menopausal women to be involved with fasting, that it can really help effectively to reduce fat. A lot of women think that restricting calories only is the answer, but it's so much more than that, right? Fasting is holistically together with exercise and with managing your nutrients, managing your eating habits, your lifestyle, your stress. It's all a part of a bigger picture. And so you can't isolate fasting. You definitely have to consider all of the other elements in your life and all the other elements in your lifestyle, your eating habits, in order to truly get the optimal benefits that you can, the optimal results that you can from fasting. So in the introduction, I went a little bit into that, talking about why fasting is key. And after that, I wanted to just press upon everyone in the fasting guide where I say understanding your health risks, that in order to have participated in this detox fasting challenge, I had wished for you and suggested for you to consult with your health specialist, just to make sure that if you have any underlying conditions, any diseases, or eating disorders, what have you, that you clarify first with your healthcare provider to make sure that you are actually okay, that they give you the green light to participate, so that you don't start the fast, whether it's the intermittent fasting or the extended fast, and have a lot of issues later, problems that prevent you from completing the fast successfully. So that I impressed upon you, whether you're doing the intermittent fasting or the extended fast, that you make sure that you are in consultation with a healthcare specialist so that you're not putting yourself at risk. And what's also important about fasting in general is that, as I have repeated over and over again, and the whole reason, or one huge reason behind why I do what I do, is the fact that Black menopausal women are at higher risk for insulin resistance, for heart disease, for metabolic related diseases than any other group of women. And because I feel that in a lot of the information that's out there that I have come across, that Black women are simply underrepresented in terms of the issues that we face for our health, with our health. And so it became a mission of mine to take this on and really address these issues and try to provide solutions or support for women to be advocates for themselves and reduce their risk for all of these diseases for which we are at higher risk for, by fasting. And obviously, I would say, which is the primary reason of why most of us are in this group together, to lose fat, to lose fat. And so because with these metabolic diseases, and because of menopause, of course, mainly because of menopause, our midsection, our belly, is, increasing. We have more fat as our estrogen decreases and we become more insulin resistant. When our estrogen decreases, there's a redistribution of fat in our bodies, and that 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 basically causes us to, have later problems with these other diseases with the fat, because the fat is not just an outer appearance issue, right? If we have problems with our appearance, that's the one thing. And that's why a lot of us want to lose the fat. We don't want to feel frumpy, and we don't want to feel unattractive, or, no longer, sexy, or whatever the reason may be for you. Those are some of the reasons why we want to lose the fat. And a big part of that, increased fat that we get as menopausal women, is the visceral fat, the fat that we have around our organs, which is also sort of a precursor for a lot of those diseases. So we want to reduce that. And that's why it's important for me to provide this information, so that we together in this community can encourage one another and really try to improve our health, reduce our risks, and lose fat. Okay, so moving on, besides understanding the health risks, there were the benefits. And I'm just going to touch upon really most of the content here, because I'm more interested in where you are with your fast, how your body is responding, and also what the next steps are. But I do want to just quickly summarize, and I will really try to get through this quickly so we can kind of have the big picture and understand what this is all about, what we went through during this detox challenge, because, those of you who were participating, had this goal and you committed to it. And I want to hear from you to know how you feel you actually achieved your goal, or at least results that are beneficial. Okay, so the benefits of fasting, we talked about. Number one for us in this case is to lose fat, to lose fat. And through fasting, intermittent fasting, which I would suggest is the most beneficial for menopausal women, it is the most effective for weight loss and body composition, and the most convenient for the beginner. So it's the one that I would suggest above all when you're first starting out with your fasting, that you start in a gradual approach. And I would suggest that would be the intermittent eating window, because you can, during this time, adjust and tweak how you increase or decrease your eating window in order to optimize your fat loss results. You also have improved metabolic health, and that basically means that your blood sugar levels are that they improve, that they're stabilized. And this then means that your insulin goes down. And this is important for us as menopausal women, because we know when our estrogen goes down, we become more insulin resistant. And that means our insulin is not working as it should. So fasting helps us to decrease insulin. And this helps us actually to lose fat, because when insulin is high, fat is high, and it's harder for us to lose the fat. The other benefit is cellular repair. We know that there's the body's natural detoxification process. That's the autophagy that I mentioned. When the cells start to target those cells that are damaged in some way, that are dysfunctional, and they start to eat themselves and filter out. And this is a natural detoxification process that we truly benefit from in the fasting process, even more so the longer your fasting cycle is. So if you're starting off with an intermittent fasting eating window of 12 hours or more, that means your fasting cycle is 12 or less hours, and you're less likely to tap into the fat stores. And you're also less likely to experience the autophagy, which is great for aging women because it really helps with cell repair. And that means reversing basically the aging effects. And that's what we want, particularly because we lose muscle mass, we lose density in our bones. And so we want to reverse all that we can that's fighting against us in order to improve our health in these areas. So the other issue was reduce inflammation, which is good. That might mean if you have arthritis, that your symptoms can significantly improve. Cardiovascular health, heart disease goes down, your risk of heart disease goes down, and also brain health, which was also very important for us as menopausal women when we're first starting, off. I think even as early as the perimenopausal phase, you will, and it varies from woman to woman, start to experience brain fog, right? There's a rewiring somehow that takes place. And our nerve tissue, which means the synapsin in our brains, starts to decrease, and therefore it's difficult to remember things. It's difficult to concentrate. There's a cognitive learning process that sort of decreases a little bit. So it's good when we can do something that will help support cognitive learning or improve our brain health. So Fasting helps in this way. And then finally, hormonal balance, because we know, as I mentioned, when we're able to fast and balance our hormones, then our insulin goes down and we're likely are to lose fat. Okay, so I'm now on fasting methods for beginners. Again, going to go through that quickly because we already know the various types of fasting, at least those types of fast that we have participated in this challenge. Intermittent fasting, that's a sliding eating window, and starting at 12 hours, you can already start to have some benefits of regulated blood sugar at 16 hours of a fasting cycle. So I was referring to 12 hours eating window and 12 hours fasting cycle before, but starting at an 8-hour eating window and a 16-hour fasting cycle, you can start to reap the other benefits. Your body is able to tap into your fat stores much better, right? And that means that your fat loss chances are much greater. And of course, stabilization or the balancing of your blood sugar improves. And autophagy, this is important, starts then at that fasting cycle level to kick in, right? And that's very important if you want to reap the benefits that I explained before, which affect, tissues in our body, brain health, the bone density, and all of this. We want to have stores being resettled in our system, and those stores that are damaged to be filtered out, and fasting is the way to go. Okay, I also mentioned the various types of studies that support intermittent fasting. There was also, in addition to the intermittent fasting, there was the modified fasting, that was the mimicked fasting. And with the mimicking fasting days, is what I called, or the fasting mimicking days, there was just a reduction in the amount of calories over a certain period, right? So it's not really that you're completely abstaining from food, but you're just on those days that you are considering fasting days, you're reducing the total or the overall calories that you consume normally. And this, I would not suggest to be the most beneficial or recommend this to women in this community as being the most beneficial fast, unless you're just starting off and you need a more gradual approach than the sliding eating window. But with this approach, the fasting mimicking days fasting method, it's slower. The results are slower, and it might even be a deterrent because you think you're not able to lose the fat that you're trying to lose as quickly as you would like. And so if you want to have quicker results and you're able to manage this sliding eating window, then that would be the preferred fasting method. There are also studies in this fasting guide that talk about the benefits of the fasting mimicking days as far as, influencing aging and reduce the incidence of aging-related diseases. So it does have some positive effects, surely. And perhaps for those people who have eating disorders, or anyone else who has any type of disease or is taking medication where they need to have a stable diet, they can't fast for too long because that might affect their medication or other issues, then that might be the approach to take, the fasting mimicking days. But if you have the green light to fast, then I would suggest, if you want quicker results, to start with the sliding eating window. And then you can add on other types of fasting methods, like, for example, the extended fast. That's the fast that I did over the course of 3 days, fasting or abstaining from food on the 3 days. You can have also participated in the extended fast and only have done one day, 24 hours, or 2 days, or one day and part of the second. However you decide you want to do the extended fast, it's up to you. But what's key is that eventually, with the extended fast and with the sliding eating window, that you do try, if you notice the benefits and you were thriving during the fast, that you incorporate fasting into your lifestyle long term. So I won't go into the other things with the extended fast, because I think the majority of us actually did participate in the sliding eating window or the intermittent fasting method. So I would like to actually concentrate a little bit on that. And those who did the extended fast, that means to me that you actually have fasted before. You may have more information yourself about the benefits and the challenges, how to begin your fast and how to end your fast. So I won't necessarily go into that. Certainly, I am available if you do have questions. If you're watching this live now and you have questions about the extended fast, then you can put that in the live chat and I will answer it. But I'm going to sort of skim over that because I think it's not necessarily as relevant for the majority of you who took part in this fasting challenge. So I also included in the guide, if you remember, I had the sort of workbook section where you learn how to create the sliding eating window. It's I tried to make it as basic as possible. Of course, if there are any questions, then certainly reach out to me. This information, of course, will also be in the courses that I offer, the free mini fat loss course that you may want to participate in, or the Belly Be Gone course if you wish to make a more longer commitment. But whatever you decide, this information is there to help you in creating a timed eating window. And it's based on the 24 hours. And like I said, you basically want to time block a period within 24 hours where you're going to eat and when you're going to fast. And what I always try to do, depending, because it's a sliding eating window, depending on how I'm feeling on each day, I try to keep as consistent as possible. That means if I've picked a time, then I like to stick with it for a longer period, because I don't like switching around too much unless I engage in the extended fast. But otherwise, I like to keep, a consistent time. And that means basically within the food intake timeline that I referred to in the fasting guide. That's the FIT, a beginning time for your eating window and an end time. So the beginning of your eating window and the end of your eating window. I like to have that as consistent as possible, but because of life happens. And if you're working and you have maybe work-related activities that throw off your intended lunchtime or your intended time to break your fast, or if you're out with friends and you decide, you know what, I'm gonna fast for the whole day until we go out at night because I know I'm probably going to take on more calories than I normally would. Or they're having a glass of wine, or you're going to indulge as you should in food that is higher in calories, then you can decide to slide that window. So if you have a consistent time period where you're blocking out your eating window, then you want to pick it based on what you're seeking from your fast. As most of us are in this group, we want to either lose fat or maintain our weight as it is. And if you want to lose fat, then you want to have the longest fasting cycle as you can, where you're still thriving. You don't want to have one that is ridiculously long, where you're sort of suffering through it and you're no longer thriving. So that's where you're sort of going to play around with your eating window over the course of the next days. which I hope if you continue on with fasting, which I would hope for you based on the benefits that we just discussed. And if so, then you want to really, over that time or the next few days, figure out which fasting cycle is best for you. The best way to do that is, again, to think about the fasting cycle. What is the greatest fasting cycle I think I would be able to achieve? So starting at the 16-hour fasting cycle, as I also mentioned in the fasting guide, that's where a lot of the benefits actually start. And that means, the cell repair, the autophagy, obviously you're having, a reduction in fat. Your fat stores are more likely to be tapped into with the longer fasting cycle, with 16 hours or more. And so if you want to have benefits quicker, but with ease, of course, monitoring your body at all times, then you're going to want to consider having a 16-hour or more fasting cycle. And if you do that, what you always do is simply choose the fasting cycle, subtract that from the 24 hours, and then you have your eating window. And you do that on a daily basis as you decide, what you're able to achieve, what you want to achieve. If you want to expedite or sort of slow down your fasts or your fat loss results, then you play around with that window a little bit, always making sure that you're thriving, that you feel good, and you're able to manage the fast that you decide to do. Okay. So that was basically the other pages where I go into the fasting phase and, having a fasting phase of 12 hours and what the benefits are, and also of 16 hours or more, which I just described as being the most beneficial because it improves health and longevity, which is important for us as menopausal women. So again, I believe that the intermittent fasting method or the sliding eating window really benefits the menopausal woman the most, starting at 16 hours or more of a fasting cycle. And I believe a lot of you in this challenge actually did that fast. At least two of the members who engaged in the live chat told me that they were participating in that fast. So I know that that some of you took part in that, and also that you had some positive results. At least one reported that. So I also go into what types of results you can expect from an extended fast. I'm not going to go into that again because I believe that most people participated in the sliding eating window. So in your fasting guide, I do go into that in more detail, and you can look at that if you're interested for later, if you decide to have an extended fast in order to expedite fat loss or to go through a detoxification process, which is which is maximized, I should say, with the extended fast, more so than doing the sliding eating window. So, but it's not something, again, that you want to do too often. You may decide that you do want to have an extended fast, let's say quarterly, as I suggested, or you may even want to do it, once a month. Whatever is best for you, you decide. No judgment from me, and there should be no judgment from anyone else. You are the advocate of your health. I'm certainly here to support you and to give suggestions, but you ultimately decide what is ideal for you and what do you feel most comfortable with. And which method do you feel the most authentic? Because that's going to determine whether or not what you do, your fasting activities, your eating habits, are sustainable or not. Whether or not you're thriving in it, you feel comfortable, you're thriving. If it's not consistent or if it's not sustainable, then you won't reach your fat loss goals. And so it's most important above anything else to be within a fasting cycle and eating window that you personally feel good about and feel good in. You feel good in your body. You feel like you have enough energy. You experience hunger cues, right? As we all should. We shouldn't go through the entire day not feeling hungry. That would mean that you're eating way above your calorie requirements. And that would mean that you're definitely working against your fat loss. So the ideal way to go about the fasting cycle is to really commit to that time that you have chosen and to stick with it, because through that you will learn more about your hunger signals, where you're having growling stomach, or you're possibly having a headache, or you feel faint or weak, or a little bit dizzy. This may sound a little bit extreme because this also could be related to dehydration. But what's important to know is that, these two states, dehydration and hunger, they're similar. And if you're drinking, as you should, enough water during your fast, then you can exclude dehydration and know that the feelings that you feel, the headache, the faintness, the weakness, the dizziness, low energy or low concentration, the growling stomach, that this is from hunger. And in that case, you're going to want to figure out some strategies to overcome that hunger if you're in the middle of your eating or your fasting cycle and you still have some time to go before you get to your eating window. You're in your fasting cycle and you still have more hours to go before you're in your eating window. Then you need to learn how to overcome the hunger. That's really important. And that's the biggest drawback, I think, for many women who shy away from fasting. They don't even try and try to understand how they can benefit from it, because they are really concerned about not being able to eat for a certain period of time. And my thoughts are, if you're not able to go longer, then let's start really short with 4 hours without food. Like, you slept your 8 hours, and then the 4 hours after you get up are very difficult. You need to eat, as soon as you wake up, and you don't extend your fast for the 12 hours, then that means that you're overeating, because your body is then used to high blood sugar. And when it drops and you start to crave food, then that means that your body is out of balance with the blood sugar. So we want to get in a balanced state, which means that we need to learn how to go without food. And that's possible if your eating window is reduced to 8 hours. You can do even more if you can, but at least, no more than 8 hours, and your fasting cycle is 16 hours or more. So I've gone through basically most of the information that I wanted to cover from the fast for the intermittent fasting, because the rest in that first section, I would say already through the third of the fasting guide, is dealing with, the fasting and why we fast, the benefits, and how you, can, what you can expect from the fast. And there are also questions for the extended fast, basically more so for the extended fast, because when you have a sliding eating window, of course, you still are consuming calories. And you should be consuming enough calories during your eating window to really provide you with the nutrients that you need and the calories that your body needs throughout the day. And therefore, you can expect to exercise, continue to exercise, and other activities that you normally do when you would not be fasting, you can expect to continue to do, because there's no significant reduction in the energy that you have. So your performance, your concentration, and all of that basically stays relatively the same, except for when you're in the hunger cycle, you're nearing the end of the hunger cycle, and or the fasting cycle, I should say. And yeah, you will then learn to deal with that, because at that stage, then of course you are feeling the low concentration or the dizziness, and therefore, at that stage, that's where you maybe would not engage in heavy exercises or intense training, or activities that require a lot of energy and high performance. But nonetheless, even during an extended fast, you can exercise. You can exercise lightly, but certainly with the intermittent fasting or the sliding eating window, you can continue on as you did before. Good. So that was basically that. Now, this is what I wanted to cover during one of our calls, which I didn't go too much into: how to stop cravings or distract yourself during a fast. Now, I talked about a few yesterday. I think Kamitha mentioned something about water. One of the members who are taking part in the challenge, that's something that she actually did and felt, or maybe I might have misunderstood whether or not she was actually satisfied with the water. But water is something that you can drink, when you hydrate during your fast, which you should be doing throughout the day, regardless if you're fasting or not, always hydrating with at least 2 or 3 liters of water. That is a way to stop the cravings, because it could be simply that you're dehydrated. So you need to be able to recognize your body and how it's reacting, either if it's hungry or if it's thirsty. And you can do that more when you're actually drinking enough water, because you can exclude that as being a problem, or exclude that as being the issue for whatever your body is possibly feeling in terms of concentration or dizziness or whatever. So I mentioned, of course, starting with a nutrient-dense diet. That's important. When you are doing the sliding eating window, you want to make sure that the food that you eat within your eating window is full of nutrients. You want to stay hydrated, as I said yesterday, I mentioned, or the day before, even electrolytes. So if you decide you want to supplement, I know another one of our members mentioned yesterday that they're taking supplements, then that's great. Then you have vitamins and minerals that can help to adjust your electrolytes. Whether you want to take, the one or the other, it's really up to you, and in consultation with your healthcare specialist, depending on what your underlying conditions are. But those types of supplements can help with the electrolytes. Also, to stop cravings, you want to distract yourself. So either, I think I mentioned this yesterday, you can, read a book, you can go for a walk. What helps me is sometimes to go to bed early. I think that's what I mentioned yesterday. If I'm really hungry and I know that even possibly that I didn't eat enough nutrient-dense food, maybe, I was eating more comfort food, plant-based comfort food that has some good ingredients in it, but it wasn't enough, and my body is still hungry for more nutrients or more calories, then but I know that I ate as much as I should have in terms of whatever portion size, whatever you monitor in order to understand how much food you're eating, the volume of food, then I decide to possibly go to sleep if the time is okay. If it's 8 or 9, then I'm okay to even go to bed at that hour, because I'm an early riser normally, because I can get a lot more done in the morning. So for me, it's beneficial. To others, it may not be, and therefore you can choose to maybe take a bath in the evening before you go to bed. The purpose is really to sort of bridge that time when you shut your eating window until the time that you do, in fact, go to bed, so that you're distracted with whatever activities that really can draw your focus away from food. So, you can come up with a lot of different activities, but those that really require that you have to concentrate on something, like activities that you're engaging in, maybe sewing, or maybe you play an instrument, or you're maybe playing a game, one of those, if you're a gamer. I don't know if we have any of those who are interested in gaming in the community, but something where you're actually engaged in activity which requires concentration that can distract you from the food. Also, drinking an herbal tea, I mentioned in the fasting guide. It's different than water. It's a change from water. Maybe drinking water is, at the end of the day, not as satisfying or pleasing to you when you're hungry, but you've eaten and closed your window. Then drinking a tea is actually mild and soothing, and it can help you to feel as though you're consuming something, you're doing something good for yourself. You're not denying yourself, but it's very low in calories, obviously, really without any calories. And so that's also something that you can do. Or just simply staying busy. Maybe you have some activities around the house, changing a light bulb that's been broken, or, renovating, maybe rearranging your room in a way that is more pleasing to you. That can also be an activity that you can engage in that will bring you joy, but that will not necessarily, trigger you to go eat. Instead, it will distract you more. And also managing stress, because stress can raise our cortisol levels. That's something that, is very important for us as menopausal women to consider, because when cortisol is high, then we're also not able to release fat. Our body holds onto fat when cortisol is high. And cortisol in higher levels results from chronic stress, either from the workplace or either in your relationships, in the workplace, or in your circle of friends, or even at home with your partner or with your kids. This type of stress where, it's not easily solvable, whatever problems we may have on the job or in our relationships that we can't solve from one day to the next, this can produce high levels of cortisol in us because we're constantly stressed about it. We may have anxiety about it, and this can affect our cortisol. And so we want to manage it as much as possible, either by seeking support, or by, trying out those other activities that bring you joy, that can help you to release good hormones, happy hormones, and distract you basically from the stress, where you're really resting, you're being mindful of resting and not completely engaging in activities that cause you stress. You want to also be mindful of your thoughts, what you're thinking, because your thoughts also can affect your stress. So you want to be positive, but of course, that's easier said than done. Maybe there are a number of women in the group who are spiritual, who believe in, who have faith, and therefore that faith, or, whatever practices that they engage in, that can help to give them strength, to give them guidance and instruction and peace. And that's important for reducing stress, being mindful and really, concentrating or meditating on our faith. And the last, well, actually, I have seek support. And seek support is basically what this whole challenge was all about, that we come together during the live chats, and we share and we engage so that we can support one another. That's really important for us to share our experiences so we can learn from one another. And that helps us also to distract a little bit from our cravings, from our hunger, and also helping one another. Um, and the last is to plan your meals after the fast, which is what I love to do. That's totally what I do when I'm fasting. So I have a magazine there on my desk with a with food in there or recipes for the holidays. And I know when the holidays come that a lot of the food is very high in, carbs like sugar or fat or sodium, because that's typically what we in this community have either grown up on or, enjoy ourselves, because it's related to a lot of good memories that we have celebrating with our family. And so I try to, as much as possible, sort of swap out some things in those recipes that look good, that are, very satisfying, that are rich in their flavor, but not necessarily high in ingredients that don't serve us. I try to create those meals based on the recipe books, so that it supports my fat loss. And it helps me, even though I'm looking at food and I'm enjoying it, and it may trigger a little bit of my appetite and make me think about food more. It still helps me to get over that, because I'm not grabbing for food. Instead, I'm sort of working my head, um, and planning, which requires concentration, what my meals will be that will best serve me when I come out of this fast. Because that's one thing that you don't want to have happen. You don't want to discontinue the extended fast, or come out of this challenge with the fasting method that you chose without knowing how to do your meals in such a way that it supports you the best, that supports your fat loss. Otherwise, you won't see the results that you want. Okay, so I do go into more of how to break the fast in the fasting guide. Again, that's more for the extended fast. But where I end is with the next steps in the fasting guide, which is how to sort of go on from here. And I do mention that fasting in general should be considered holistically. That means with exercise and with your nutrients, with your meals that you plan, and how you go about planning your meals. We talked about it yesterday in the call, or maybe the day before. I'm sort of lost with our calls. So much information about meal prepping. And that is a tool that you can use to support your fasting. And so that is good. And that's where we actually want to, that's what we want to focus on in the next steps when we are leaving the challenge, that we know how to move forward from here so that we're able to reach our goal without going off track. With that, I do want to again offer that I'm here for support. I will be here continuously on a weekly basis with my videos on YouTube. All of you who have subscribed, again, I want to thank you again. You can reach out to me. The tips and strategies will be coming at you each week, so you can continue to get support from me. And I, of course, will continue to have regular live coaching calls periodically, so that we can regroup and sort of address some of the questions that you have. So with that, I want to now turn to some of you who have left comments. Mazuba, hello. So good to see you back again. Kamitha, welcome back. So great that you're joining again. How are you guys doing? You're at the end of the fast. This is the last day. We won't have any more live coaching calls for this particular detox fast. So I want to know what your results are, if you felt good about fasting, if you really benefited from it, or if there are some challenges that you had that you want to have addressed before we close the call in the next few minutes. Kamitha says, hello, question about intermittent fasting. I like that the eating window can shift from day to day. But what if you accidentally snacked before your eating window begins? Does that open the window? Love that question. Love that question, because I did experience that a lot in the beginning when I was doing my learning intermittent fasting from the beginning. And I couldn't necessarily gauge when I would be able to, eat, or be able to, how long I would last, let's say, throughout my fasting cycle. And sometimes, depending on the day or what was going on, activities, maybe I was on vacation, let's say, and I didn't know when my next meal would be, and I would break the window early. And that was intentionally. Also, there is the accidental breaking of the fast where you are maybe just distracted, and our normal habit is to graze when we want to snack and get some food, and then we break our window. Yes, eating anything that will add calories to you, anything that you consume has calories in it, and therefore will break your fast, because the fasting cycle is really about abstaining from foods so that your body has a chance to metabolically switch from getting its fuel from sugar, right? The sugar, the glucose from the food, to getting our fuel from our fat stores, because it's the fat that we want to reduce. So when you eat, even if it's accidentally, yes, unfortunately, our eating window is broken, and we do therefore consume calories, and our body will then go back to using the sugar from our food as fuel. Okay, and then Kamitha continues to say, I really enjoyed the 3 days of intermittent fasting, 16/8. Congratulations that you did that, because that is, of the intermittent fasting, one of the best for menopausal women for us to begin with. So I'm happy and ecstatic that you did it, that you stayed with it. I think you even said that you started before. I'm not sure, but coming together during these 3 days was certainly an experience to share. So I love that you were here as well. Do you want our results and experiences? How do you want us to contact you? Okay. You said, never mind, you answered it. Yes. I would love it if you would if you felt comfortable by putting your results in here. You can even say something like, thumbs up or positive, or, you had more challenges than you expected. This chat here will stay, and I'll be able to go back as long as we're streaming. We're actually going to close the call in just a few minutes, but you can put in your questions if you have any more questions, or your experience, share your experiences here, and I will address them. I can address them directly to you, either over Instagram. We can directly DM each other. You can DM me over Instagram at HerSoulFit if you have questions. Also, for recipe ideas, you can reach out there. Or if you want to have more support, and the topics that I'm covering in the YouTube videos are not necessarily addressing some of the issues that you have, then send me a comment on any of the videos that I have. I love that, because then it sort of inspires more engagement from the women in the group, because we want to be able to feel as though we can freely share, and then I can address your issues or your experiences, whatever it is, directly to you, either under your comment, or again, if you reach me at HerSoulFit on my Instagram account, then I can address your experiences, your questions there as well. Mazuba says, it is summer and festive season. There is a lot of entertainment. Are we allowed to have wine? Girl, yes. Yes. Don't deny yourself of the foods that you love while you're doing your fast. Otherwise, at least my experience is that women feel restricted, and they will then trigger possibly a binge later, because our minds are wired in such a way that if we feel as though we are denying ourselves or not allowed to enjoy food that we typically enjoy, then we feel as though we are, suffering. And then our bodies then trigger us to go after that, either, the wine or the sugar or whatever, but more so than we normally would, strangely enough. Studies there to prove that. There's evidence actually there to prove that when we deny or restrict ourselves, that we actually tend to overcompensate for the restriction, which is why women gain more weight after they go on a calorie restriction diet, because they're overcompensating from the calories or those foods that they restricted, and therefore they eat more of it. So yes, I would suggest that you do have wine. I drink wine. Of course, you have to know for yourself how much is too much, because wine and sugar and all those things affect our hormones. And then the hormones will actually affect whether or not we are releasing fat as we should. Because once they're out of whack, then of course our body starts to hold on to the fat, our insulin is affected, and we want to avoid that. So try to really monitor and limit as much as you can those foods that don't serve you in that way. Mizuba says, thank you for the explanation. Good. So ladies, I do want to thank you so much for being a part of this challenge. It was a great experience for me. It was great to hear from you, because I don't get a chance to hear too much when I'm doing my videos instead of the lives. With the lives, I'm able to hear from you and understand what your challenges are, what your experiences are, and that is the whole purpose of me being here, to serve you, support you as much as I can. So I'm going to end the call. I want to just remind you again, for those who watched, who are watching, or who will watch the replays of this detox challenge, will have the offer. You obviously can do the free mini fat loss course, which goes into the eating window. You can also do the Belly Be Gone course, and that's my new course that I'm offering, 21 days of fasting, where you will have fasting in the beginning. We will also go into details about the nutrient diets, nutrient-dense diet, and how to build a plate, which is really, really important for maintaining our nutrients, balancing our sugar, but also working for us and not working against our fat loss. So building a plate, the best plant-based plate, for those who are doing part plant-based diet, or those who are doing a fully plant-based diet. That Build Your Plate is a part of the course and can help you to understand how to manage your eating habits. Also, meal prepping will be in there. And also the importance of exercising very moderately and not intensely, like a lot of health experts like to press upon us. Really doing exercises, intense exercises for a long period of time, which works against our stress. And so those types of topics will be in the course, along with culturally specific issues like body image for the Black woman, and also cultural specific issues regarding food for the Black woman, what we've grown up with, a lot of us, not all, but many of us in this group, because that could possibly be the reason why we have a sweet tooth. And so those types of issues will be in the 21-day fast, and there'll be 4 group coaching calls where we'll do a live call like this, but on Zoom, where we get a chance to see each other. You can participate by sharing or just listen. It's really up to you. But the important thing is to be there so we can get the support and hear from one another, be inspired by one another, so that we can learn and grow together. And the other thing is I have an app which will help you, very simple app that will help you to monitor your results, to monitor your progress. And that is so important because only then are you able to know where you started and where you're going, what challenges you have in between, and how you've addressed them. The app tracks your own assessment of how you feel about your weight. It helps you to jot down what your meals will actually be so that you can plan them ahead of time. So it's a good meal planner, but it's just something that's really important for you to monitor your status, monitor your results. So this is, as a bonus, a part of the course that I'm offering, along with the 4 weekly live coaching calls on Zoom, not on YouTube, obviously, because it's private for those who join the course. And there'll also be one live, just one-on-one call with me in the beginning so we can assess where you're starting, what your goals are, and where you want to go. So I can help you to start off a plan of how to approach it. But of course, we're all advocates for our own health, and we're going to design our own plan. But all of the tools that you need to do that and to refer back to are in the 21-day course. And this is being offered for 76% off for those, again, who are watching during this time period. The offer ends on Friday of next week. So if you're interested, you can click on the Belly Be Gone link that's in the description notes. And if you clicked on it before, then you would have seen the full price of the course normally. But just for this short time, you'll have a 76% discount for those women who participated, those who watched but didn't participate because they came in on the tail end. But of course, all those who got the information from the lives during this time period until Friday of next week. So I just want to thank you again for participating. I'm looking forward to hearing from you, either over the DMs or in the comments for my videos, and of course during the periodic live coaching calls that I'll be doing regularly so that I can get an idea of what topics you're interested in and how I can help you. So thank you so much. Again, thank you for growing the community. Share this information with as many Black menopausal women that you can, because we want to help each other, we want to support each other, and we want to reach our goals. So on that note, I wish you all the best, and I wish you much success in continuing your eating window, your sliding eating window, your intermittent fasting, and reach out to me if you have any challenges and need my support. Take care and have a lovely rest of your day, and enjoy your days upcoming with your fasting cycle.